2023 was the beginning of a new era in Cincinnati, or at least the prologue to great things to come. All these young studs came out of seemingly nowhere. Like, the entire team is now loaded with young, exciting hitters led by Elly De La Cruz, who led the world on fire. This man was for real. Someone who hits the ball harder than anyone, runs faster than anyone, has an extremely fun personality, and although the Reds missed a postseason, which is why I called it the prologue, this franchise, one that's only made the postseason 5 times in the last 34 years, just 4 times since 1996, all appearances where they went one and done without winning a single round, things were finally looking to be on track, but in an even better way, considering how sustainable this looked. Again, all the best and most hyped up players were all prospects, basically. Things were getting exciting, so naturally, big things were expected moving forward. And in the middle of this promising and exciting time, the Reds decided to make sure the manager, who'd been there for the last 5 years, David Bell, stayed the man moving forward, giving him a 3-year contract extension through the end of the 2026 season. But man, baseball's tough, life is tough, and it's wild how quickly things can change and turn in ways you didn't expect, because the way we look at the Reds is a lot different than it was a year ago, and some pretty drastic and seemingly unnecessary changes are already being made. Really quick, if you're breathing, like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet, or just wait to see if you enjoy the video and then make a decision, that works too. 2024 has not gone exactly to plan for the Reds. In a perfect world, they would have built off the success from 2023 and took things a step even further, becoming a playoff team. That doesn't happen, and it's gone so unaccording to the plan that the Reds have decided David Bell won't even last the first year of his extension, getting fired with just a few games left of the season. But why? I don't get it. I cannot be the only one. I feel this way for a number of managerial firings, but here's my take on managers in general. I think it's very rare that a manager makes a team worse. I think most managers either make their team better or the same. Maybe I'm dead wrong on that, but that's how I see it. And when a team struggles like the Reds this year have, I don't know if you can blame Bell. Not that the Reds are putting every last failure on him, but does he deserve to lose his job over what's happened this year? This quickly, after you gave him your trust with an extension? Another firing that happened this year was over in Seattle when the Mariners fired Scott Service, and it's one that I feel changes nothing. How does firing your manager fix your entire offense being the worst in baseball other than the White Sox? And it's the same way I feel about this David Bell situation, especially with how quick the hook was pulled. There seem to be a lot of things out of his control that have gone wrong this year. To start, the injuries. One of the Reds' top players heading into the season, Matt McLain, got hurt before it even began, getting surgery on his shoulder, being ruled out indefinitely, and he'd go on to miss the entire year. Another top hyped up player heading into the season, who was looked at as the Reds' starting first baseman, Christian Encarnacion Strand, started out awful at the plate before injuring his wrist at the beginning of May, never to be seen on the field again. You also have Noelvi Marte, the Reds' top prospect and one of the most hyped up prospects in all of baseball, getting caught and testing positive for a performance-enhancing drug in the middle of spring training, getting suspended half the year. So that's immediately 3 of your most hyped up players starting the year down. And until someone provides any sort of convincing evidence that David Bell is behind this, that he messed up McLain's shoulder, broke Encarnacion Strand's wrist, and roofied Marte with Boldenone when nobody was looking, I'm gonna safely say none of that was his fault. Marte has since come back after the suspension and has been awful, and it's on brand with how the rest of this offense has been in terms of expectations. The Reds honestly look to potentially have one of the most dangerous lineups in baseball. Seriously, it was that promising, and it's ended up disappointing, to be incredibly meh. Elly De La Cruz has been, for the most part, up to expectations. He's really only had 1 month, May, where he was bad. Other than that, he's for the most part been one of the best hitters in baseball. I do think there's more to expect from him moving forward, but he's the last guy to be worrying about when looking at why the Reds this year just didn't work. Other than Elly and Tyler Stevenson, the catcher, the rest of the lineup has either been alright or not good at all. It's just a very lackluster and injury-riddled offense. As for the pitching, Hunter Green has really put it together and shown why he was a former 2nd overall draft pick and a highly ranked prospect in the minors. In his 3rd big league season, he's blown by his career high in innings, has an ERA under 3, strikes people out. He's been good, but other than him, nothing else to be excited about, and a pitching staff that's on the lower end in baseball. It's not very good. So I'm going to ask again. How does any of this equate to David Bell as the one to point fingers to? Why is he the fall guy? If anything, with the injuries and lack of progress this year, you could argue Bell deserves to be praised for keeping this Reds team from being flat out awful. They're not good, but it could be a lot worse. I don't know, man. Say the Reds had missed again next year with Bell as the manager, sure. Move on from him with a year left on his extension and find a new voice. But to fire him before his first new contract year is even over, and when the Reds probably wouldn't have been good with anyone as their manager because of all these injuries and just lackluster performances, I know it's very easy to blame the manager because he's, well, the manager. Of all the coaches on the team, he has the highest role while also being someone you can easily just kick to the curb anytime you can. But I still find it stupid. It's so obvious this year isn't his fault, and you can't tell me the Reds just felt it was time for a new voice, because they literally just extended him for 2024 and 2 years after that. So it just feels like the Reds did this just to feel like they accomplished something in the process of trying to win next year. Like, oh look, we made a change, and yeah, okay, you did, but there's a lot more problems with this team that have to improve than the one you just addressed. One that I don't even know was an issue at all to begin with. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.